Hello, and welcome to this special Christmas episode of Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting on episode 10 of Chobits. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. So last we left off, we all sort of collectively learned that Persicoms need to bathe, which is, a little bit disquieting considering they're a computer, but if it needs to be done, it needs to be done. Now, interestingly enough here, Hideki seems to have blundered his way into a date here, which, this is interesting because the girl's playing coy here, and she also, unless I missed my mark, seems to have been getting kind of jealous of Chi. So, frankly, I'm not sure what she's playing at here, but one way or another, Hideki, he's just dancing in the palm of her hand. Because I think, essentially, she wrangled him into, a special date and all that. I guess the question is, how is he going to explain all this to Chi? Because that essentially means she's going to be unsupervised for an extended period of time. And, I mean, now is probably better than any time, up until now. But even so, I don't know, she's reading that book, and that seems to hint at things, and, I don't know if I like it. So it seems like part of the crux of the book is, everyone else is paired up and living in a dream and all that, and, it's effectively an empty town because of this. Or maybe... Ooh, okay. So I guess the it mentioned in the book is a Chobit, essentially. It is something that isn't a person, cannot become a person, but can take a person's place. Huh. Yeah, so I get the distinct impression that these books aren't just something for the general public to buy. I feel like they're definitely being put here strategically, because for a children's book, as this ostensibly is, something's not quite right, So, I feel like in the same way that Forum had that picture of Chi, allegedly, something else is going on here. So, Hideki is learning about how to go on a date, and, I don't blame him for being nervous or wanting to learn, but I feel like he's really taken the wrong approach here. Yeah, like, I mean, if you're going on a date to watch a movie, like, I feel like talking is sort of discouraged. So half this advice just kind of goes out the window right away. I guess it doesn't really help that Hideki can't separate facetious statements from normal, genuine statements. Yeah, you know what? Hideki probably is getting ahead of himself here. You know, you're not gonna score on the first date, generally speaking. And I guess that is probably reasonable advice. You know, if you're going on a date, you know, the person hopefully likes you for you, therefore you probably shouldn't change too much. Man, just like giving them tips, like, man, go for it on the first date, man, go wild. Like, I mean, maybe a movie theater is a better place than many just because it's dark and you can get away with it, but at the same time, like, it's a first date. Ooh. You know, he might be being a little overzealous in how he prepares for this, because, like, antacids? Like, I feel like if you're so nervous you're gonna have a stomach ache, like, you might have bigger problems, you know? And helpful though she is, I feel like that magazine's probably not the thing to bring on a first date. Ooh, so I wonder, are they just gonna show up early, the both of them? That would be interesting. Now, I'm wondering, like, how's she gonna take all this? Like, is Hideki going to have to explain what a date is and what the purpose of dating and all that stuff is? I don't know if she'd necessarily understand it immediately, but... I mean, is she capable of feeling jealousy? I feel like she would be, but, I don't know, this might be the sort of case where, like, she is feeling jealous, but she doesn't have the word to put to the emotion she's feeling. Yeah, I mean, already, like, there's, like, a little hint of jealousy here. Even if she isn't, like, being all forthright about it. I mean, you couldn't really expect Chi to, right? Yeah, you know Hideki was essentially given the advice early on, like, don't fall in love with the Persicom, which is probably pretty good advice, but, like, you know, this doesn't take into account she and what she may or may not be capable of doing. I'm kind of hoping this isn't a melancholy episode, but it's looking like it might be that way. I'm sort of hoping Chi would sort of, like, follow Hideki and, like, maybe not spy on him, but try and learn more. Man, you know, this book is, pretty bleak. You know, is there a person out there for me? I don't know if there is, like... Man. And I guess the idea here is that the book is about unconditional love and all that. Man, it's just the entire presentation of this, between the reverb on the voices and the dissonant music in the background. Man. So I'm wondering if this is almost some sort of, like, covert programming for Chi. You know? Man, it really is unsettling. I don't know what to make of it, and I certainly don't like it. So it is really telling that Hideki was early, and I don't know if Yumi's gonna pick up on that. Huh. So she's being kind of flippant about things, I guess. Like, oh, I didn't make you wait too long, did I? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what her game is. Because she framed this whole thing as like, oh, I just happen to have a spare ticket, my friend can't make it, but... Oh, that's interesting, that she's saying like, ooh, I don't really like how your hair is now, I liked how it was before, despite him explicitly changing for the better. Or at least attempting to, I should say. Now, I question the choice of going to watch a drama like this seems to be. It's probably not a good first date movie, although, this was supposedly not planned to be a first date to begin with. Ooh, Hideki, buddy, you're getting ahead of yourself, man. And I guess more to the point, he really should do something about just immediately voicing his thoughts. Like, that's a real bad habit he's got, and it's probably least appropriate in a movie theater. Oh dear indeed. So I guess back to the book, it seems like that character was speaking to its reflection, but now it's like a separate entity. And I'm wondering if this perhaps has to do with Chi and what I figured was that little bit of internal software sort of directing her. I guess that sort of fits a little bit, that this book was some sort of like covert programming for Chi in the same line of that other personification. Yeah, I mean, we're even, like, going there right now. It's like the other me. And that seems to have struck a chord with Chi. Maybe if she doesn't even realize it. Yeah, like, she always looks kind of, like, vacant. But, like, especially now, something's clearly up. Man. So she's just doing this again, where she's just sort of like jumping out and, I guess, flying. Like, I don't think Persicums are really supposed to be able to do that. So I guess the question is, now that she's sort of like awake and aware, what's gonna happen? Like, is she gonna start bricking computers again? Yeah. This is pretty on the nose in regards of how it relates to the book. Alright. So yeah, I guess this really is some, like, deeply ingrained programming. This is what she could have been had that little disc been installed properly or whatever. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, that's something. That's a real interesting tone that's being taken there. Like, oh, is that your new name? And sort of asking about Hideki and like, is he the one who loves you and all that? Like, we're venturing dangerously close to like, if he isn't, you're gonna have to leave. Now, I'm curious about the mechanics of this. Like, where is this other personality coming from? Is there like a split partition on Chi's hard drive or something? Man, I guess whatever you make of this... So they're connected now. So I guess the question is this other Chi, is she like her own separate body or what? Or is she purely like a software thing? Because that they all see what each other sees, like that's, there's something a little ominous about that, especially seeing as how we don't understand the motives of the other software yet. I mean, she seems to be intent on fulfilling the book, but I don't know. So, I don't think Hideki knows quite how good he has it right now with, like, a nice homemade meal after a movie. Like, that's good. Ooh. Wow, that strikes me as being, highly relevant. You know, like this woman meeting up with a man and the man dismissing the persicom to go do chores. Like, if this date goes well and leads to more dates, like, that could be the fate in store for Chi, and, like, I mean, considering that she is sentient and sapient, like, that's grim. So it is interesting that Yumi is jealous of Chi, and that she's sort of, like, coming out and admitting it, because I mean, I'd imagine that would be a rather sore spot, you know? As, like, persicoms, they can do a whole bunch of stuff people can't do. And, you know, the inverse is true as well, but I think it's one of those instances where the grass is always greener on the other side. You know, you don't appreciate what you do have because you're too concerned about what you don't. Man, you know, good on Hideki for being in such a good shape as to row a boat effortlessly. Now, I feel like it probably isn't a coincidence that the persicom expert is here. Although, you know, maybe the middle of a lake isn't a good place to talk. Man, you get what you deserve for just rocking the boat like that. You know, I don't know if it's like boat etiquette or what have you, but generally speaking, if you're in a boat that wobbles, you want to keep your center of gravity low. Ooh. Okay, so the persicom's leaving to accompany Yumi, so that gives Hideki a good little chance to talk to the persicom expert. You know, maybe they'll share a bit more information about what's going on. Mighty convenient, if you ask me. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, I figured that this would be coming up again, that it's like, hey, you know, I'm glad you're hanging out with real women, because, you know, persicoms, you don't want to get too attached to them. It probably is a healthy response that Hideki recognizes that persicoms and people are different, but, wow. That's a very bizarre statement that the expert, quote-unquote, is having issues telling the two apart. Like, he says it like he didn't quite consider the distinction. Like, man, I hope I don't ever live in a world where I can't immediately distinguish a person and a computer. Like, oh, buddy. At least not in face-to-face interaction. Ooh. So you made a persicom to resemble a late sister. Like, that's... I don't want to call it ghoulish, but, like... I don't think it is ghoulish, but, like, that's, I don't think you should do that. I think it's perhaps better to let the dead rest rather than create a facsimile of them. Man, for someone who's saying, like, don't get too involved with persicoms, he seems to be, disregarding his own advice here. Man, this really does open a whole can of worms about, like, you know, is it ethical or healthy to have computers replicate dead people? And, I mean, man, that's dangerous stuff, because, like, you know, assuming souls are real and all that, like, a computer can't recapture the spark of life, so, like, it'll never be perfect, but even then, I don't think you should do that. Oh, man. I don't think I can quite put it into words, but something about that whole thing just skeeves me out. Oh boy. So I wonder what Yumi hopes to gain by telling the Persicom she's jealous of it. Like, I feel like nothing good's really gonna come of that, even if it isn't sapient in its own right. And I guess, you know, being jealous of the Persicom's looks too, like, that's... I don't know, like, is there any sense in being jealous of something that doesn't age or tarnish? Like, part of the reason why people and certain things are beautiful is because they are not permanent, you know? Like, beauty fades with age. Well, at least she seems to be her normal self, you know? She hasn't let that whole little episode interfere with her mood. Ooh. But at the same time, Hideki seems to be, momentarily disregarding that advice. You know, there was a look in his eye right there. Alright, well that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one. Merry Christmas, Space Cowboy.